Happy St. Patrick's Day. It is absolutely one of our favorite holidays here at Wake Up the Echoes, presented by TireRack.com. I'm your host, Tony Simeone, and before we get to today's show, just check out what we've done to this set this week. I mean, this is phenomenal. Look at all the themes here. We got some cupcakes, which you're going to hear about a little bit later, following up on last week's episode with women's basketball. We got our pot of gold right here. Plenty of gold here. Plenty of rainbows outside today. Just one of the best days at Notre Dame's campus, and what better way to celebrate than some great conversations with people around Notre Dame. First, we had a chance to talk to one of our Leprechauns, Colin Mahoney, who's been here now in his senior years, done a great job at a variety of sports throughout the seasons, but this year was also the football Leprechaun on that run to the national championship game, and also does great work with women's basketball, volleyball, and has worked at lacrosse throughout his career as well. Then we got a chance to catch up with athletics director Pete Bevacqua, touch base with him on what's obviously a very busy time of year, and then also chatted with Brock Sheahan, head coach now for men's hockey. Notre Dame, of course, is transitioning from Jeff Jackson in his 20th season. After 20 years at the helm, Brock Sheahan's been the associate head coach for the last 2 years. So Brock's in, and now he gets a chance to run the show himself. So some great conversations with all three of those guys. Let's not waste any more time. Let's talk to Colin Mahoney, Notre Dame Leprechaun. Okay, well, this is an incredible day. Colin Mahoney, Leprechaun, senior at Notre Dame.
Right on.
Welcome to Wake Up the Echoes.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
How does it feel to be here?
Awesome.
Okay.
It's a really sweet studio.
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet studio, and it's kind of your day, right? St. Patrick's Day. It's going out the day after, but this is your day.
Something like that.
Okay, so I want to dive into a ton. This is our first time having the Leprechaun on here on our set. We can cover all your background, how you got into that. But you'll notice on the cooler right here, we've got 6 cupcakes. There is not yet an official bakery of Notre Dame Athletics, but we're working on finding a sponsor.
All right.
So you used to be the Leprechaun for women's hoops, right?
I still am.
Still am. Okay, and you did football this year.
Correct.
Okay. So you're women's basketball and football. Kate Koval came on here last week and explained the proper way to eat a cupcake. Do you know what that is? When you look at that cupcake, do you know what to do with it?
I don't.
How would you eat
I think I'd make a mess. I think I'd probably try and go in from the side.
Okay, why don't you grab one? Why don't you grab one? I'm going to grab one. I'm going to go vanilla. Okay, good. Okay, so I think traditionally, oh boy, I just got some on the, watch out. Okay, I'm taking the ring off. I might actually wear the ring. My outfit today, as you can tell, is,
or mine,
as they say, on fleek. Doesn't quite fit. Okay, so you've got the wrapper here. So why don't you, we've got a couple, so we can try this. So you show me what you would normally do.
All right.
You're going in from the side.
Feel a little like that.
I'm going to show you that.
And then,
camera. Yeah, you're going in.
just like that, and you go straight in.
Okay. See, that's probably how I'm going, like that. But I'm going to try to show you what she did.
Yeah, I'll
try again with another one. I assume you metabolically can handle 2. So you see here.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to try to execute the way she said. I'm having it. I'm doing pretty well. I've taken the base.
Uh-huh.
Some might say discard. No, look at this.
It's like a sandwich.
It's like a
frosting sandwich.
Yeah. And now I got to kind of squeeze it down a little bit. Okay, let's try it.
That's brilliant. Probably a whole lot less messy than what I just did.
Can you pull that off with the one you got?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. These are pretty good.
These are pretty good.
Yeah, better than I kind of anticipated, honestly. I don't have no bet.
Bingo.
You lot?
I might still make a mess. I rescind my previous statement.
You got it. No napkins. Oh, no, there are napkins. Wow. I got to say, our staff here, who will remain unnamed, best in the biz.
Absolutely.
Napkin for you.
Thank you.
You finish that if you want. I'm going to save mine for later.
I definitely am too.
As we dive into things. So that's incredible. So when you see her, you tell her, thank you for teaching us the way to eat a cupcake. Can you imagine eating it the way you've had it before now?
No, I think it's archaic.
And also, it is a better way of containing everything, I'm
right.
thinking now. You get less potential frosting flying around.
Yep.
And the bite is better.
I agree. Bite's better.
Yeah, there's
more well-balanced.
Right. An ice cream sandwich, an Oreo, they are designed that way for a reason, right? They don't put just the frost. Imagine an Oreo with 2 cookies on the bottom.
It's not the same.
Doesn't make sense. Okay. So that was great. Thanks for joining us. We're going to do another game real quick before we dive into you a little bit.
All right.
It's called Spinning Our Wheels. Okay. So you see the wheel up here? It's presented by TireRack.com. Why don't you give it a spin? Let's try one more.
Give it more juice.
It's becoming one of our worst recurring bits is that we already have the game picked out. So I need you to spin it one more time. See if you can land on the right one. You have a 1 in 6 chance. Look at that. You got it. This or that.
All right.
That's our game, okay? St. Patrick's Day edition with Colin Mahoney, Leprechaun at Notre Dame.
Let's do it.
Okay. So pretty straightforward. This or that, and then we're going to kind of embrace debate.
All right.
All right. You're gonna figure out a theme here pretty quickly. This or that. Would you rather find a lucky penny or find a 4-leaf clover?
I'm going to go 4-leaf clover.
Okay, why?
I don't have a wallet. I have a makeshift wallet, and so carrying around another penny is kind of an inconvenience for me.
Okay, you're how old? 20, 22?
22.
Okay. So how often have you in your life paid with cash?
Seldomly.
It's like a foreign object to you almost,
Right.
right? So I'm a little older, not much. Grew up with cash. Did you hear that they're like considering getting rid of the penny?
I did hear that.
Yeah, they might not produce any more pennies. I think someone was telling me too, and this is where, we're in the age of who knows what to believe, that they're going to get rid of the nickel as well because it's almost costing more to produce the nickel than the nickel is worth.
Gotcha.
But that doesn't seem to affect you very much because you've never had to use.
Doesn't affect me in the slightest.
Okay, so we're going for the clover.
Going for the clover.
You ever found a 4-leaf clover?
I think I have in grade school. I remember we outside back of our school, we used to pick them.
Maybe that was the sign.
That might have been foresight into what I'd be doing in Notre Dame.
You should have known at that time you'd be a leprechaun someday. I think I used to always think I'd found them, and they were just 3. Okay, number 2. Learn to speak Gaelic, or learn to play the bagpipes.
I'd speak Gaelic.
Okay, again, explain yourself.
I think it's a language you don't hear very frequently, so I think it's very unique in that regard. And I also think that I'd love to get to Ireland one day. Didn't go last year with the football team, and so I would love to be able to speak to people in their native tongue.
Tough break to miss that trip by a year.
Tough.
Looked pretty fun.
Some good ones this year, though.
Yeah, great trip. Oh, man. I'm going to talk about that, but a great season this year. I'm going bagpipes. You've seen the lacrosse team. When
I have.
Out with the bagpipes.
That's one caveat. That is pretty sweet.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And I love the tradition that they effectively, I think maybe originally had to coerce somebody into being the bagpiper. Now it's like a point of pride, right?
Right, yeah.
Tunnel, it's so cool. I'm learning the bagpipes so I can lead the lacrosse team. Okay, I don't believe either is a sponsor, but let's check here. Skittles or Lucky Charms?
Lucky Charms all day.
Wow, no hesitation.
No hesitation on that one.
Is that because there's a leprechaun in the box?
Not just that. I think it's just not a better way to start your day.
Then Lucky Charms.
Absolutely.
Wow, there's no
Spike your insulin, get ready to go.
I had some great follow-ups. I'm not going to say. I'm just going to move on. Okay, wear green clothes the rest of your life or have green hair forever.
I'm going to say green clothes.
Yeah.
I like the color green.
Yeah.
Notre Dame alum, bookstores, easy to spend your net worth at, so.
Easy to spend your net worth.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
some great stuff from Under Armour.
I'm going to talk about your net worth a little bit later. I go green clothes because I'm with you. The hair just feels so permanent.
Right.
And it could be like me. You could go green hair and then just lose it, and then it doesn't matter, right? But I think with green clothes, you kind of develop an identity. I'm very colorblind, but I do know there's different shades of green. And so I'm not just stuck with one green.
No, right. That's a nice thing.
I can go light green. I can go dark green. As far as I know, there's a million.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah, okay. All right, we're halfway through. Interesting one here. Irish potatoes. I don't know exactly how they're prepared. Just bear with me here. Or corned beef and cabbage.
I'm going to go Irish potatoes. I'm a big potato guy.
Okay. And just because you like potatoes.
I don't do a whole lot of fruits and vegetables. My mom would probably kill me hearing that on the podcast, but
you're in good company here.
Starches are good.
You know who Al Michaels is?
I don't.
Longtime broadcaster. Maybe at this point probably like the most well-known broadcaster or like highest profile broadcaster still living. Did Monday Night Football for years. He did the Miracle on Ice. Do you believe in miracles?
I believe in miracles.
There you go. So, he's been around for decades.
Gotcha.
He notoriously has never consumed a vegetable in his entire life, and he's had amazing.
That's
success.
hard.
Yeah, in broadcasting. And
That's
so,
almost like you got to be intentional about that.
yeah, that's why I don't eat vegetables. Is because Al Michaels doesn't. I'm going to go with you, too. I think potatoes, again, I'm wondering if I could be off here. Maybe Irish potatoes, is it a certain preparation of potato, or is just Irish potatoes just potatoes, cook them up however you want?
Maybe potatoes from Ireland.
Yeah, okay. I'm going with the potatoes because you can do a lot with them, and I candidly don't like
They're
cabbage.
versatile.
Yeah, versatile for sure. Don't like cabbage. Corned beef is hit or miss, in my opinion. Okay. Number 6, swim in a pool filled with green Jell-O, okay, or a river of Skittles.
I think the gelatin is going to be, you're not going to be able to swim in it. I think I'd sink to the bottom. I think Skittles, at least, I stand a chance to stay on the surface.
Right, maybe you float in Skittles.
Yeah, I think that could be the case.
I think I'd like to jump into the Jell-O. Be a fun plunge.
A cannonball.
And then the second I'm in there, I'm like, oh, get me out of here.
What are you hitting? A cannonball, can opener, gainer?
In my day, probably running up like I'm about to do the world's biggest can opener and then just chickening out, just lunging right in. What's your move?
I'm probably going with the back flop.
Back flop.
Yeah.
You're going to risk the back. It's going to be red.
Back. Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. I know what kind of guy you were at the pool now. All right. Would you rather be in the St. Patrick's Day parade or attend one?
I think I'd rather be in it,
Mm-hmm.
but I would say it depends on what capacity. I think it'd be really cool to be throwing stuff. Maybe a Leprechaun. I think that'd be really sweet. Not too many left, but I think I'd rather be in it.
See, I think that's such an illuminating answer because I look at in my opinion, where that aligns with is, would you rather basically be the Leprechaun at the football games or attend the football games? And there's a lot of students that might say, I want to go and be a fan, be in the stands. But you have the opportunity to be in the parade.
Right.
And so I think that's your choice.
Absolutely.
You want to be in the mix.
Absolutely.
So there you go. Good answer. Last one here. Scotch egg or fish and chips? Do you know what a Scotch egg is?
I don't know what a Scotch egg is.
I think it's like a soft-boiled egg wrapped in sausage, breaded, and deep fried. Is that right? So it sounds not that good, and then you describe that, and
that sounds awesome.
I've seen them. My only issue is I don't really like. There you go. I don't really like hard boiled or you can see that's a little bit less than hard boiled.
Yeah.
I don't like when the egg white gets like that, and it's, you know what I'm saying?
That's fair. I think fish and chips, there's kind of its range of outcomes is pretty banded. So it's either, I don't think it's going to blow you away, but I don't think you're going to be super underwhelmed.
Oh, really?
That, I think, has the potential to be special. So I might go with the Scotch egg.
High risk.
I'm going to get high risk, high reward.
You know what? I think if you're doing it, I'm doing it because we're both.
And we're in it together.
We're gonna dive in, deep fry ourselves together. All right, I like that. We aligned pretty well there. That's pretty good. Good job. You passed our test.
Thank you
on this or that. I want to talk to you about your role here. I mean, I think Leprechaun is such an interesting element to Notre Dame athletics. Obviously, the mascot and those who have portrayed the Leprechaun over the years, there have been so many different people that have come before you. But when did you know that you wanted to kind of serve in this role?
So I didn't decide to go to Notre Dame until super last minute. I think I waited until the deadline date to, put in my commitment to submit my deposit. And so I think after that, I sort of having thoughts. And so, throughout that summer heading into my freshman year, I had people say to me, give it a thought. I think it'd be cool. And I started looking into it more. And so as that sort of developed and I got on campus, I remember freshman year, I did practically nothing first semester. I just hung out with buddies and went to class. But I'd get home during the afternoons and I had absolutely nothing to do. And so doing sports in high school, I missed being part of a team at Notre Dame. And so, it was sort of a culmination of a lot of factors that, the cheer team has a lot to offer and the Leprechaun program as part of that. And so it sort of made sense for me to try out at the end of my freshman year.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to know a lot about because I've heard about the tryouts, I've read about them, I've seen videos, but now I have someone here that's gone through the process. And there's definitely people listening that don't necessarily know the extent to which you have to try out and then what you have to actually do to become a Leprechaun. So can you just lay out the process that you went through in order to first just get to be part of the program and now get to where you are, where you're doing women's basketball and football?
Right, totally. So the tryout process is it's multifaceted. So you got to start out by submitting some written portions, just a few quick essays about yourself and your interest in the program. Then there's a few videos you've got to submit, and it sort of changes every year how they do that. And then if you make it to the in-person tryout based on those two aspects, then at the in-person tryout, it's really neat. They give you they'll give you a few prompts, and you sort of have to go out there with 2 or 3 minutes of preparation, and you go out there and you deliver your mock pep rally or your improv.
And who's there? It's people are evaluating this,
Yep.
and are there also just general public kind of taking it into?
It's both, yeah. So there's a bunch of people within the athletic department
Right.
that are there, and then also I brought all my buddies from Duncan Hall my freshman year. You bring
Shout
my
out
roommates
Duncan.
still. Yep, shout out Duncan. And then from there, you have to do a few interviews, and then potentially part of the blue gold game. They'll split that up and have you let part of it.
Okay, cool. And so then you get through that process freshman year.
Got through a freshman year.
You're in the mix, and you're a Leprechaun sophomore year with women's basketball that year, or what was your process to getting where you are now?
So my sophomore year, I did volleyball in the fall,
Okay.
Hockey over the winter, and then men's lacrosse in the spring.
Oh, okay. And so then you do those three. What's junior year like?
Junior year was volleyball again, women's basketball, and lacrosse again.
Okay, and then this year you took on football.
Yep.
And still with women's hoops.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, so as you look back, I mean, you're coming down the stretch here,
Right.
senior year. Like, what are the?
Don't remind me.
Okay, that's the last I'll mention of it, and it's probably not true. What are like the highlights for you being a part of this program and getting to be, obviously, I mean, you're on the field, you're on the floor for like some of the coolest
course.
events on campus.
I think there's a few that really stand out to me. I'd say one, I have to give it to, it's all like the day in, day out with the cheer team. Super, super good group of guys and gals, really great coaching staff. And so even today, walking into practice is like a treat. And so I think it's all those little moments like that. If you wanted some more, pointed examples, I think there's also winning the ACC Women's Basketball Tournament last year was really special, being in Greensboro for that. And I think, you have to, tip your cap to the football season this year.
Yeah, what was that like, going on that run?
Awesome.
Yeah.
It was, hard to put it into words.
Okay, so we were at the Orange Bowl. Pete Bevacqua, who's coming in today, is our athletic director. He said when he didn't watch the field goal go in to win the game, but he just fell to his knees when he knew that when it went in. Where were you?
I did the exact same thing. I was down on the field.
On the field?
I watched, but I didn't, scream and I put my arms up. I was just so relieved.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you kind of a mascot question. This is a deep cut.
Yeah, hit me.
And this is a deep mascot cut. So do you know who Jackson DeVille is?
I don't.
He is the Jacksonville Jaguars
All right.
mascot. Now, I'm going to guess, maybe you can enlighten me. There's a difference between live mascot, like you, and then maybe in the suit,
Certainly.
Okay. But Jackson DeVille, in my opinion, and I've done a fair amount of research, is the best professional sports mascot, bar none. You watch him, if there's a field goal close, he's in the end zone, under the goalpost, looking at it, and then he's doing a dance if it goes in. He once caught a game-winning field goal and started running with the football. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
Just telling you, he's bungee jumping off the top of the stadium. Is there anything like that you've done where you're under the uprights or you're in the mix, you're jumping off the stadium? Anything you've tried to think about in your career?
Definitely. So you make a good distinction. There is a little bit of a difference in the way you go about mascotting, whether you're like a live mascot and you can speak to people, or you have a mask on. And so they kind of have to make their personality their bodily movements. And so they might focus more on that. Whereas something like the Leprechaun, where you can speak, it's a little bit unique in that your job is a lot of crowd interaction,
Right.
And trying to get people going at the right moments.
And you can kind of feed off of
Right.
fans, and even,
Totally.
even players a little bit more too, right? Like you can kind of be courtside and like you can have a little back and forth energy with the game in the way that maybe a natural mascot can.
Definitely.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. Let's talk real quick. I know you don't want to talk about wrapping up, but you said you're studying finance.
Finance.
Right? Okay. Talk to me about what you've learned at Notre Dame in finance and what you want to do going forward.
So in terms of what I've learned, a whole lot. Would I be able to tell you right here on the spot? Absolutely not. And so I don't know what that says about me and my
Yeah, you're not right.
But Mendoza's awesome. I've had really great professors in Mendoza, some really interesting classes that I'm still in right now. And I think Mendoza does a really good job of, fostering collaboration.
Yeah.
And so I'm really, really pleased with my education here.
Okay, what's the number one thing you're going to miss about Notre Dame when you're done?
It's the guys that I wake up to every day or wake up next to every day. I still sleep, share a room with a guy. I wake up, toe to toe with him. And it's the best thing ever, falling asleep at night and, talking about random things until, 1, 2 a.m. every night. And then, waking up and doing the exact same thing. And then, you go off to class, do whatever, and then come back, do it all again.
The thing that I think I realized right about when I was your age and I was leaving college, and then it really hit me like the next year, is you don't realize in the moment, and maybe you can harness this for the last 6 weeks here, that it's the last time you'll be in the same place as like thousands of people your age doing the same thing with the same general amount of responsibilities.
Absolutely.
Like now that I'm older and like I've got great friends from high school, college, we stay in touch. But like you said, you don't see them every day. You aren't in class with them every day.
Right.
You don't have the same schedule. You can't pick the same. It's just harder to get together. So like that's the thing that you miss when you're gone, because you're going to go off to wherever you go. I think it's in Chicago. Right? And you'll have some people out there, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Notre Dame's got plenty of people.
Plenty of Notre Dame kids and
But man, it's going to be tough to like coordinate and just see people all the time.
I think it'll be definitely a transition, but I think you find that community in other ways. You probably just have to be a little bit more intentional about it.
All right. Hey, Colin, thanks for coming by.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Great job with, you know what? I'm going to send you off with one more bite of my cupcake sandwich. If you see Kate, tell her thank you, all right?
I will.
All right. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Cheers.
Okay. Great to have two guys on the couch. Pete Bevacqua, great to see you. But we've got our head coach for less than 48 hours here now as the full-time head coach of the hockey team, Brock Sheahan. Great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, I want to start and cover.
He looks older already.
Yeah, he looks seasoned, grizzled.
Yeah, a bit of gray.
Starting to go gray.
Just let it go.
As long as you don't lose your head.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that club. Okay, I want to talk all about the hockey team and the finish of the season and taking over for Coach Jackson in a second. But I want to pick up on a conversation we were having before everything started rolling here, and it's about golfing and hockey. And I just say this because I know hockey guys, almost all of them, love to golf.
Yes.
So first explain to me why hockey guys all love to golf, because golf I know is a sport that I love, and it's of course very close to Pete's heart.
Yeah, we have some big time golfers actually on our team. I think they love it because they're competitive. You can shoot a puck. You can usually hit a golf ball pretty far, and they love hitting the golf ball far. But yeah, that's why I think they do it.
So is the hand-eye transfers easily?
Yes.
Okay.
But I would tell you, Tony, I went to they played an event just like for the fun. The team at the Warren course, was that August maybe?
Yeah, it was just like a team bonding start of the year event.
But when he's like, some of these kids are like exceptionally good. Like one of them tried to qualify for the U.S. Open, right?
Who's that?
Yeah,
Tyler Carpenter. Yeah,
Carpenter tried to qualify for you.
I drove around and kind of heckled them and just was talking to them, and I was like blown away by how good some of these kids are.
Yeah, Henry Nelson's really good. He had a hole in one on what's the first par 3 on Warren? The short one.
Yeah.
The short one there is at the
130.
4. Is that 4?
Yeah, that's 4.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but we have a bunch of guys that can absolutely kill the ball. But then, for hockey, you got to have some touch. Guys can make plays, or they have good hands, so they're good with the putter, good around the greens. Yeah.
Well, have you noticed that? I mean, in your world working in golf for so long, you saw a lot of pro golfers that they show up at pro-ams and they're excellent golfers. It seems like they show up everywhere, don't they?
With hockey players?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's, obviously you got to be a great athlete to be a professional hockey player. But also the movement's so similar. So you're used to, the arm, hips, rotation, right? You obviously have the power. So I think they tend to have like really short, powerful swings and just kind of get very consistent very quickly.
It's probably a nice change of pace when you just put it on a tee instead of being on skates trying to hit a one-timer and it's all one motion.
It's funny though, when we're working on like one-timers, which is like shooting pucks, like we'll tell the guys to have like more compact movement, use the technology of the sticks, and for the guys that golf, they'll say it's comparable.
Interesting. Okay, well, I can't skate, so I'll never know what the similarities.
You do have skates. That's one part.
Okay, so this is your first. We're recording this on your first business day. I'm calling it, as head coach of the hockey program. Congratulations on taking the job full time now. What in your head is, I guess, the biggest shift now that you are the head coach of the hockey team?
Yeah, no, I think that the messaging comes from me now, right? You're in this role, especially the previous year. people out there, recruits, whatever it is, NHL teams, our players, they know that it's going to happen, but was still an assistant coach, right? It's we're not yet in that mode where I'm leading the messaging, whether it's out in the public eye or in the locker room. So I think that's the biggest piece, that now it's a reality. Today I get to speak with our returning guys for the first time as a group, and yeah, it's just really exciting.
Oh, it's exciting. I get to talk to you before you're going to talk to the group. You want to give me a little preview of the speech before you talk to them?
Yeah, I know.
You don't have to. Keep behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Pete, for you, and I can't remember exactly the timeline, so you can refresh me, but the involvement you had with Coach Jackson, and maybe if Jack was still here, just what the timeline was and when you guys knew that Brock was the guy that you wanted to kind of take the reins and run with this hockey program.
Yeah, I talked to Brock. It would have been in the spring. We talked, and Jeff has been great through the whole process. I mean, obviously, Jeff is one of the great college hockey coaches of all time. I mean, a legend, did so much for Notre Dame, so much for this program, was Brock's coach. I mean, Brock is Jeff's first team here, right?
Yeah. I was a sophomore on
the first Frozen 14.
First Frozen 14, first CCHA championship team, a big part of, setting the foundation for what Notre Dame hockey has become.
So it's such a great story that, here's somebody who went to Notre Dame, played at Notre Dame, played for Coach Jackson, and then to come back, Brock was coaching professionally, but really took a chance on himself to come back to Notre Dame as an assistant under Jeff to position himself for this happening. And I've been so impressed, really just marveled at the way Jeff and Brock handled the last season, because that can be tricky. Mm-hmm. Here you have a head coach, here you have somebody who's the head coach in waiting, and the respect they showed for one another. I think to Brock's credit, he never for a moment forgot who was the head coach. And to Jeff's credit, he just involved Brock in everything. And I think it was a great opportunity for Brock to kind of see what it was, start recruiting, start thinking about building the future, but also doing everything he could for the team this season. And I think for both for Jeff and for Brock, the way obviously it wasn't the type of season we wanted, right? No surprise there. But the way the season ended, going and beating an incredibly talented Minnesota team 2 out of 3 games, and then just such a wonderful game coming up just short against Michigan State this past weekend, kind of ended in a solid fashion. Jeff was able to get his 601st win, and then passing the baton. We couldn't be more excited about what Brock's going to do for the program going forward.
So I do a lot of games at home on Peacock, and you guys are sitting on $5.99 there, and we were all just like, come on. Yeah. And of course, it's been great to do it at home when you guys are honoring him, but you get it done maybe in even more exciting fashion in some ways when you take down Minnesota. Just from your standpoint, as someone that obviously played for him, and then as Pete just alluded to, you coached with them for these 2 years, and really very collaborative, I assume, this past year. What did it mean for you, and really a lot of those guys, I'd imagine a lot of the seniors in particular, to get him win 600 and get that series win the way you did, to finish the season, I think, in a really positive way?
Yeah, I think win 600, everyone else talks about. He didn't talk about it one time. That's just the way Coach is. I think the players were somewhat aware of that, but to his credit, the focus for the year, he kept on this team and the players. And as much as it was a difficult year, and it was a year that he knew that he was going to get celebrated and all those things, and he knew win 600 was right there. I swear to you, he didn't talk about it at all. The bigger deal was winning a series against an elite team in Minnesota. Minnesota has the most NHL draft picks in the country, 4 first-round picks. Nobody had us winning that series, and our guys, after a very tough season where had played some good hockey, I don't think we had played to our capability consistently, did that 3 nights in a row on the road against a team that has a great chance of winning a national championship. That was more important, I think, for Coach and especially for our group, to show that we have the capability to do great things. And especially for the guys coming back, I think it sets us up moving forward.
To Brock's point, I mean, he's not exaggerating. I shot Jeff a note saying, hey, congratulations on the 600th win. And he wrote back in typical Jeff fashion, it's just a number.
Yeah. No, he's not concerned about
that. I thought it was really neat. I saw some great footage in the locker room, or you could tell he really meant it too, is he was just excited. He got one more week as a head coach. That was the biggest thing. Obviously 600, all that, but You could say, because he knows it's like when you're a senior, it's like if I win, I get one more week. And that just means another week of practice, another week of film. And you could tell that meant a lot that he got to be in the trenches for just 7 more days with the guys, right?
This hockey is coach's life. Like, that's not an exaggeration. And that's part of the reason this program has been so solid for 20 years and elevated because of the constant work that he's put into making Notre Dame hockey what it is, and why I'm so grateful to be here, taking over with the idea of not only building on that foundation, but taking us to a spot we've never been before. For him, it was about another day with the team.
Yeah.
That's the team is his family, right? So this will be tough for him, and that's something that I recognize. And, we've been doing coffees on Fridays and hopefully continue to do that as long as he's still around here. But that's what it was about.
Yeah.
It was about getting the thing that if you were sitting here, he was disappointed with the season,
sure.
Right? He believed we could be more than what we were. And to see our guys, because the consistency was the issue. We did well against some high quality opponents throughout the year, and then we were just inconsistent. But to win a best of 3 on the road, we played consistently well for 9 periods of hockey, which is good to see.
So I want to ask you a question kind of along those lines as you now take over about some of the challenges that you can face in the Big Ten, because I look at the conference, like you said, you had to go on the road to number 3 in the country. Your reward for winning that is to go on the road to number 2 in the country.
Yeah.
Somebody has to finish 7th every year, and it's usually not Notre Dame, but it's just the 7th best team might be the 25th best team in the country some years. Just how tough is it to play in that conference, and what are the challenges you guys face week in and week out?
Yeah. The conference is elite, right? We have every school has the resources to attract the best players. You just look at the look at the line chart. We're just talking about the draft picks, right? Like, everybody has draft picks, and if you don't have draft picks, they have elite college players, and they're places where people want to be. I do think that the as a conference, we have the capability of getting 5 or 6 teams in the tournament every year, a tournament of 16. I actually believe that's capable, depending on what you do non-conference wise, and if the teams are closer, like if they don't have a 7th place team that had a year like we had this year, we still might get 5 teams in the tournament, depending on how things play out this weekend, right? So I would say probably for sure 4, right? So it's a great challenge. It's awesome to be in the conference, right? It helps us attract the best players,
right?
The best type of people that we want, and that's what you want to be doing. You want to be playing high level games as much as possible. And I believe with the guys that we will have returning and the players that we're bringing in and working to bring in, that we'll be right back to it. This won't be a rebuild. We'll be ready to go right away.
Pete, from your standpoint, I look at the hockey program, and it's in large part due to the work of Jeff and guys like Brock that played for him and coached for him. Between that and Compton and just kind of the hockey community that's, I think, been built here in South Bend, it just seems like it's a program that's in such a great place. Just as you view it from your position now as the AD, just what does hockey do for the university, for the school? How important is that program? And I think really playing a lot of those teams in the Big Ten is so great because we get such great crowds when they're playing some of those more regional rivals.
Yeah, Tony. I mean, I couldn't be more excited about the program, the future of the program. And we have all the pieces in place. We have one of the best facilities, if not the best facility in the country, but definitely one of the handful of best facilities in the country. We're all biased, right? But certainly one of the best universities in the country. And, I think we have now, coming off of a legendary coach, somebody where it's not like Brock's going to have to ramp himself up. I mean, nobody understands this place better than Brock. He lived it, right? He knows what it means to be a student athlete at Notre Dame, and it wasn't that long ago. And then I think there's just excitement about coming to play here for Brock, who just recently was, playing professionally and coaching professionally. And then that connectivity between the university and South Bend. I think hockey is one of the best examples of how one helps the other. As you know, Tony, I lived across the street in a townhouse when I first got to campus, and then my family moved in with me. So I saw firsthand the level of activity at Compton, not just for Notre Dame hockey, but every single day in, day out, on the weekends, you'd see these young kids with their families, with their gear. and their big hockey bags, going into Compton for junior clinics and scrimmages and games. And it's just a wonderful example of how Notre Dame can benefit South Bend, how South Bend can benefit Notre Dame. It's a great love story that Compton has established. And I think there's so much energy right now and such a positive momentum going into next season. I know we literally just ended this season, but I couldn't be more excited about next season.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. It's 2 days ago. You guys on the road now.
Things happen fast. But no, to build on that, like my family is a part of that. Both my kids, my daughter Evelyn and my son Bo play in the IYHL, and their teammates love Notre Dame hockey. Their families love Notre Dame hockey. They come religiously to games. They're invested. They know the players. They're excited by it, and that's been a pleasant surprise for me coming back here. We have a great student section, and people at the university are excited about Notre Dame hockey, but the community. It's a hockey, we're in Indiana, like it's a hockey town, and it's not expected.
And it wasn't necessarily like that when you were playing here, right?
No,
it's
and I would
built over 20 years,
It's been built. It's been built. When we played in the Joyce Center, you can ask my wife. We met as freshmen, and she used to take naps on the. It was open. We were struggling. There was seats open, and
she was napping during the game.
And then by the time, my junior, senior year, there was students lined out the door. And just what's been built, and with the Compton Family Ice Arena is amazing. Still, it's a big time place to have a hockey game, and then it does connect the community. It's used all the time. It's full all the time, and it's a really special place.
And I think what's great about it when you go into Compton for a game, it's people from the community, it's students, it's so many student athletes. So many teams go there, head coaches and coaches from other teams. We have the band, such a big part of the band is there. I think it's one of the great environments on campus, a Notre Dame hockey game. And for people who haven't been and haven't witnessed it, it's something you should do because you'll love it.
It's a great, like you were saying, it's a great place to, especially I think, take kids on a Friday night, Saturday night. The start times on Saturdays now are usually 6, so if you're worried about bedtime, you kind of can sneak it in there. Last one I want to ask you about the program is just kind of, and again, day 2 full time, but I'm sure you thought of this a little bit, and if you can't flesh it out right now, it's fine. But just as you kind of try to start, I guess, articulating the vision for what you want the program to be, what do you think of when you're going to go out and talk to people about being a part of Notre Dame hockey, or just what you want the future to look like for Notre Dame hockey? What kind of comes to mind, and what do you have as a vision?
Yeah, there's already the foundation of we have great people currently here. We have the right type of kids. We have student athletes that value coming to Notre Dame. That's not going to change. We have people here that understand that I think we have the best of everything, right? Whether it's our facilities, it's going to be the coaching that they're going to get. It's the school itself. It's the social aspect. It's the community aspect, the service. It's all of that. That doesn't change. As far as the hockey side of things, I was hired by the Carolina Hurricanes to modernize their development model. I believe that's what we're doing here. What I did with the Chicago Steel for recruits and whatnot that know how we coach, the type of NHL caliber players, how we developed our guys on and off the ice. I think we can do that to a higher level than we've been doing that. That's a fact. Okay. And that in turn translates to team wins. You focus on the individual, you show you're invested, you have great relationships with these kids. They're invested in what you're teaching, and it's all within the team framework. It's an unbelievable atmosphere. It's a lot of fun. You can push guys, you can challenge them, you can be real with them. I am very excited. It was a weird, you talk about how fresh this is. Saturday night was really weird for me because I was devastated for our current group. I know what it meant for Coach Pooley and Coach Jackson. It's the end of their time here. And it's sad, right? At the same time, I'm so excited. Yeah. I'm so excited for what we get to start this spring with spring practices in 2 weeks, with the training that we're going to do, and with the players and the type of people that we're going to continue to bring in here. I know it's hard not to smile. I'm just really excited. And this is the only place I would coach college hockey. Yeah. I've talked to you about this. I was on the track with a professional organization that loved what I was doing, with an ability to, I think, get to the NHL within short order. This is this is better, in my opinion, because it's more than just coaching hockey, right? And I'm really excited for the future.
I think today, though, we should declare today officially his first day because it's St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day,
right?
It makes
Perfect day for a new coach to start.
who's also Irish, right? So
wow, we're checking all the boxes today.
Yeah.
Okay, then just before you go, I have to follow up with you, Pete. I'm just hearing that. Like I hear that answer, and I immediately look at the AD, and I think this is exactly what you want. You have someone who could have done something else somewhere else. This is what Notre Dame, I think, always attracts. It's people who are excellent in their craft, who maybe could do something somewhere else that some others might perceive as maybe the path they should go. And they say, no, I want to be at Notre Dame and I want to do this thing and I'm only going to do it here. I mean, when you hear that, your eyes are delighted.
Well, it's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a national search, didn't just hand the job to Brock. And when he and I started talking, it impressed me. His resume obviously is sensational, but just his passion for Notre Dame. And what really stood out for me is how he took a chance because he had a great thing going and took a step back to take this step forward. And that shows you that he really wants to be here and get this program back to where it was not so long ago, competing for national championships. And I don't have a doubt that that's going to happen. I think it's going to happen quickly.
Yeah. All right. I'm looking forward to it. Coach, great
Awesome.
to see it. Congratulations on day one. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Got some work to do.
Good luck in that meeting. Yeah. All right. Well,
Thanks, bro.
See ya. All right, Pete, Coach just ran out of here, but we've still got time to cover a few topics, so I'm glad you're still here. It's actually time for our Yeti Cooler Conversations segment. A note here, we have these St. Patrick's Day cupcakes. I've already had one on the show with our Leprechaun, Colin Mahoney. Do you want one now? Or do you want me to save you one for later before I go in and get a drink?
You know what? I'll grab one as I leave.
Okay.
They do look good.
They will be waiting for you on the way out.
Thank you.
How about a beverage, Coke product? I can't remember. Do you do water when you're here? Diet? Topo Chico?
I'll do a water.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Don. Okay.
I'm going to actually go with Topo Chico. Look at our staff is just unbelievable.
Thank you.
I had a Topo Chico actually on set accidentally once, and they are fortunately a Coke product. So here we go. I'm looking forward to this. Okay, couple things to cover with you. First is I saw an update between the last time we talked and today about men's swimming being reinstated for next year. I guess just now that you're here, if you can elaborate on, and you've talked with me a little bit about the steps they've had to take to make sure, but I'm sure it's something you're pleased with, that they were able to take the necessary steps that you felt it was time for them to be reinstated next year.
It was a great moment for us to be able to announce that the men's swimming team will return to full competition next year. And credit to Chris Lindauer, our head coach, and his staff and our sports administrators and the team. And when I say the team, the men's swimming team, the freshmen, those upperclassmen who returned, and then the members of the men's diving team and the women's swimming and diving team, they all really came together as a group and just kind of straightened things out. And we had a rehabilitation plan that was put in front of the men's swimming team by Coach Lindauer and his staff, and they followed it so far to a T. And we've seen just wonderful steps taken to get in a position where I felt comfortable going to Father Bob and recommending that we issue this statement that we were going to reinstate the team next year. And ultimately, Father Bob gave me the thumbs up to be able to make that statement. So I think it's great. And, I'm looking forward to the future for that program and for our entire swimming and diving teams. I think we have one of the very best coaches in the country in Coach Lindauer. And you see the advances that the women's team has made this year and will continue to make. And I know that men's team is really eager to get back into the pool in a competitive way.
Yeah, it's great news to just hear that obviously a really unfortunate situation that everyone involved was able to kind of get it back on the right track, and that you're back within a year. Seems like everyone put forth the necessary effort to get it done. So
correct.
Great to hear that. Women's hoops coming up. I'm going to have a show with them later this week before the tournament, but you're here. To me, obviously March, it speaks for itself. It's a great time of year in college athletics. I can't wait to watch them get a chance to play at home. I think maybe get back on track a little bit. I'm going to talk to Nina later in the week. It just feels like a team that can really feed off the home crowd. What excites you about the women's team kind of going into the postseason here?
Yeah, we have so much talent.
Mm-hmm.
We have a wonderful coach in Niel. Obviously, the regular season and the ACC championship didn't end the way anyone wanted it to. So I think this break came at a good time. I know the team got back to campus last week with spring break for Notre Dame, but the team got back to campus on Thursday, and I've talked to Niel a few times, and she said how hard they were practicing, how focused the team is. They had a selection gathering last night, and I think we can make a real run. To go deep in any championship with as much talent as there is in the country, as I've always said, you got to be good. And we're certainly good. We have to stay healthy. Fingers crossed we stay healthy. And no matter what sport, you're going to have to get lucky here and there. Mm-hmm. But we certainly have the talent. We certainly have the coach. And I'm really, really looking forward to the next few weeks.
Yeah, I think back, I've kind of drawn the parallel a couple times with 2018 when, of course, Enrique hit the buzzer beater that we all talk about. But that team, they played a really small rotation, but you look back, they had so much talent. And I kind of see some talent similarities here that makes me think, okay, and they showed it throughout really the entire year, and then I think the last couple weeks didn't play their best ball, but we know what they're capable of. I think we're going to have a great chance.
You think about the backcourt, right, with Liv and Hannah Hidalgo, then, with Sony Citron, who's just so steady, and Maddie's back to full health, and what Leah, too, has done all season with her just hustle and rebounding and athleticism, and the freshman Kate Koval, and we have a few players coming off the bench that are really contributing. I think, fingers crossed here.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can make a really great run.
Okay, you made me think of something. Just when you do take this cupcake to go, Kate was here last week.
Yeah.
She informed us the way to eat a cupcake. Okay. I'd never done this. Is you take the bottom, let's say 2/3.
Yeah.
Twist it off. So then it's just a bare cake. Put it on top, and it turns into a little bit of a cupcake sandwich. I'll show you when you're out of here if you want.
Yeah.
We did it on the show. It's delicious. It's just really nice.
I might question Kate about this.
Okay,
next time it sounds a little complicated.
It does involve a little bit more manual labor than you may have signed up for when you wanted to eat the cupcake originally.
Got it.
But it was fun. Okay, one more thing before I ask you about house settlement, which I think is a topic that I could use some clarity on, is just about this time of year in your position. I think about you got 2 hoops teams that are in conference tournaments at times. You've got spring sports starting up. There's a lot going on. Just how do you, in your role, make sure you stay on top of everything? I feel like there's a ton going on really in the months of February, March, and early April.
Yeah, and it's really, you kind of separate it into different areas. There's the competitive side of things. Okay. And obviously you try to devote your time as much as possible to those that are in the postseason. So I was in Greensboro with the women's basketball team. I was in Charlotte with Micah and the men's team. It was great to, beat Pitt, and then obviously we lost to UNC, but it was nice to get that ACC victory. And also balancing how the world's about to change, and I know we're going to talk about the house settlement, and then, of course, everything we're doing here to prepare for this spring and to start thinking about the future with our staff. So you have to have priorities like you do in any job.
Sure.
I'm fortunate that I have such a great team around me with people that just absolutely know what they're doing and have wonderful experiences here at Notre Dame and elsewhere. And so I feel like we're in good shape here. And, I think things are shaping up to be a wonderful spring. Like I said, hopefully we'll go deep in the NCAA tournament on the women's side. It was nice to see men's lacrosse get that dominant victory over Michigan. Our baseball team beat a tough Clemson team this weekend in that third game. Women's lacrosse had some really nice wins. We've done great in track and field. Jaden O'Brien continues to dominate and to become more and more of just a wonderful national story. She's getting the credit she deserves. Obviously has her eyes on the future and hopefully LA in 28. So we have a lot going on, but it's exciting, Tony.
Yeah. Okay, I want to talk about the house settlement. Quite frankly, this is a topic that's been, I think, on radars. It's been on my peripheral radar for a while, and now we're closing in on April 7th when a decision is going to come down. I feel like there's a lot of college sports, and let's just call them Notre Dame fans, that are maybe aware of what's going to happen, and we've talked about it a little bit. I want to try to get in more detail. So my understanding is $20.5 million is what schools, if this comes down the way we think, can then pay directly to players going forward.
If the settlement's approved and the hearing is April 7th, now that doesn't necessarily mean that the district judge, Judge Wilkin, will approve it in a final terms that day. The belief, if you read the tea leaves and based on the back and forth, is that it will be approved. It might be approved by her shortly thereafter, the 7th. But we're obviously planning and operating in a way that will be prepared to move forward as if should it be approved.
Okay.
If it is approved, universities in the Power Four conferences and other universities or colleges that opt into the settlement will, for the first time, be able to directly compensate their student athletes up to a cap amount that will start at $20,500,000. How that number was derived is very kind of an inaccurate snapshot, in my opinion, but a averaging out of the revenue of the athletic departments over the Power Four conferences, getting a number and then suggesting that 22% of that number should be available for the student athletes to share in.
Got it.
That number came to $20.5 million. There will be a 4% annual escalator, and there's a series of look-in provisions that the lawsuit, the settlement, agreed to over the course of the next several years. So the 20.5 number will grow each year.
Sure.
We, like many other major universities with major athletic departments, we will certainly hit that cap in terms of that revenue share with a segment of our student athletes.
Okay. Last question that I have to clarify before I get you out of here, because this is what I find interesting, and every school's going to have this decision. I don't need to know how Notre Dame is planning on distributing it, but different schools, in my eyes, have different sports maybe that are their big sports or their sports that they're going to prioritize. And every school, it sounds like, is going to have to determine how to allocate that 20.5 across their sports. So is that the case, that you could have a school that maybe they don't have sport X, they'll have more capital to put towards sport Y because of that sheer
Well, what's
fact?
important for people to realize is it's a cap.
Okay.
So you don't have to spend anything.
Okay.
But you can only spend up to the $20.5 million. So to spend the capital, first you need the capital.
Okay.
Not every university has that at their fingertips, right? And this is a new economic world for major universities and a new $20.5 million and annually growing expense item. One we believe in. We fully support our student athletes being compensated. I think you'll see generally that the cap payment will follow the major revenue sports. So no secret, football first and foremost, and then men's and women's basketball, and then other sports. I think that's going to be the general play you'll see from major universities. But in theory, yes, each university that opts in, and the universities in the Power Four conferences that are in the settlement, can make those determinations university by university. There will be, in some situations, some conference guidance. Okay. You have seen some conferences come out recently, even over the course of the last few days, and declare certain cap minimums that they're going to require their schools to spend in order to stay competitive athletically. So it'll vary from conference to conference. It will vary from university to university. I feel comfortable in making the blanket statement that I think in most instances, if not all instances, you're going to see the majority of the cap money follow those major revenue sports.
Okay. It's an interesting time.
Yeah, it is an interest. It's fascinating.
Yeah. As complicated as it might be, it's an exciting time. And I'm looking forward to kind of just seeing how it plays out over the next few weeks, months, and eventually years.
Yeah, no, we are too, but we're prepared. And, Notre Dame sports, Notre Dame athletics, it's a key part of the DNA of this university. And what I find so comforting in this moment of an incredible change in college sports, and I can only speak for this university, but there's incredible alignment. Father Bob, the trustees, they understand the importance of the Notre Dame athletic department and Notre Dame athletics, and how it's part of the mission of this university to give that full and very meaningful experience to every one of our student athletes.
Yeah. Pete, thanks for stopping by. Always great to catch up with you. Do not forget your cupcake on the way out, and try the sandwich method. And you can talk to Kate about it.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. Thanks for having me on.
All right. That does it for another edition of Wake Up the Echoes presented by TireRack.com. Thanks again to all three of our guests, Colin Mahoney, Pete Bevacqua, and of course, Brock Sheahan, as Notre Dame hockey makes the transition. Once again, happy St. Patrick's Day. We hope you celebrate in style. Here at Notre Dame Athletics is, of course, a great time of year as we get set for some postseason runs. So we'll talk to you next time on Wake Up the Echoes.